Good morning, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, I got to tell you, holiday weekend, and I know yesterday was a holiday, dude, but yesterday probably had to be, so far this year, a top 10 day, maybe even top 5, on events that I wanted to follow. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. Let me see if I can name them off the top of my head. Obviously, the number one in your book had to be the Rockets Warriors Game 7.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Just stupid. I don't even want to talk about it.
4 years in a row that it's the Warriors.
Horrible basketball. Just isolation, just hideous. Move on.
But I was trying to think about it, which obviously we'll say the NBA Finals, we'll compare it to like the Bassmaster Classic. And this is the 4th straight year, correct, that the same combatants have been in the finals.
Yes.
And I was trying to think, I mean, has there ever been a string of classics where there were 2 anglers that were battling it out year after year after year? Now, the first thing that came to my head was the Christie Ayler for, the past couple years that were kind of both in the mix. I guess you go back a 3-year span. But other than that, I mean, there hasn't been like 2 guys who have gone 1-2 or flip-flopped, or have there in your that you can remember?
I don't remember. I mean, obviously.
Because I was going back to when Kevin won. I mean, obviously you don't have very many back-to-back.
Well, you had some old school stuff go down back in the 80s and 90s with Denny and who else? Denny and Hank Parker and
Harold,
Jimmy and Roland, and I mean, you had that going on.
No, that's insane. Out of the 30 teams to 2, so that was event number 1. Event number 2 had to be Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Vegas Golden Knights.
And I actually came out into the studio. I went split screen. I actually had 2 TVs on with both things taking place at the same time.
Now, I for the first time ever, I was interested in what the pregame would be like for that. It was like 28 minutes long, involved flying trapeze, fire, smoke.
It's the greatest opening to a sporting event I've ever seen.
And it's so corny that it works. Awesome. So that's awesome to see hockey thriving in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And then some controversy during the game.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many cross-checks in the back. Now, I don't know if you've ever played. You have it, because in pickup, they typically don't do. In men's league, you don't really get cross-checked in the back.
No.
That hurts.
Oh, I'm sure
you
it does.
watch all those guys get cross-checked in the back as smacked in the back of the legs with the stick. I mean, that hurts bad. Yeah. Like, that's the stuff that you get, you can't even move afterwards. Yeah. So that's 2. The third, the Indy 500.
Had the Indy 500 on Sunday.
Danica Patrick wrecks out.
Crash and burn.
In her last race.
Very typical.
But I did see they announced that, and in other motorsports-related news, that Dale Jr. will be joining and starting in July in the booth.
Nice.
So there's
That'll
3.
Be good.
Was there any baseball games either?
Nah.
What else
not
was
even
there?
Close. Well, you had the Coca-Cola 600, and I'm not really a NASCAR fan, but I love that race because it's 600 miles.
Endurance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then last night you also had the high-stakes poker event that's taking place at the Area
I saw that
Hotel.
on NBC Sports.
And I saw a hand of which there were $760,000.
Not chips, actual dollars.
No, this is a cash game.
Right.
$760,000 in the pot.
You you gotta have some balls to be in that pot.
Yeah, Phil Ivey was in it. Phil Hellmuth was not in it. He was not a part of that. But it was just a very, very cool weekend, especially the hockey and the basketball going on at the same time. Obviously, no fishing taking place.
No
tournaments.
No.
Typically, over the years, there is nothing going on.
One of the 3 weekends.
That just nothing takes place.
3 weekends. Memorial Day was the second one. 4th of July.
Yeah.
And the third one, Labor Day. That's where you see very few bass boats, and the ones that are typically driven by the younger generation beached up somewhere using the front deck as a smorgasbord, not a fishing platform. I had a huge weekend too. Something happened that has not happened in 5 years.
Well, what would that be?
I took your advice, and for those of you on iTunes, I'm holding in my hand a brand new Nike tennis shoe.
Yeah, what kind are those?
Those
They're not
are
Air
Nike
Maxes.
Flex. I am not a high-end snob like you.
Okay.
The Air Maxes, I'm not paying an extra $150 for a little clear thing in the back of your shoe that says Air Max on it.
Yeah.
These are the Nike Flexes. So I think I got them for like $49.
I'm
but
glad
I've got
you
some
upped your
tennis
shoe
shoes
game.
now. I'm not wearing them. I didn't up it. I started it. It's the only pair of tennis shoes that I own, but I did, and they were Nikes just to make you happy. So I brought it in for show and tell.
All right, very cool. Hey, for Carl in Ohio, I have to mention also the Game 7 between Cleveland and Boston. Very, very entertaining. LeBron James, unbelievable. I mean, obviously he is the Kevin Van Dam of the NBA, and all kinds of discussion. And we've had this discussion about guys over the years in professional fishing, but a lot of discussion taking place now on whether or not he has surpassed Michael Jordan. I don't think we're having the discussion, has anybody or will anybody surpass Kevin Van Dam too soon. But when you go back and you look at the stats of early in their careers, both guys, there is one guy that is matching up, actually surpassing what KVD did in his early stages of his career. And who is that, Matthew?
That would be Jacob Wheeler.
That is Jacob Wheeler.
He's got to win an Angler of the Year here pretty soon.
Yeah.
In the next couple years. He's in position. He's got a shot to do it too.
Yeah.
But also, before we get going, also want to give a shout out to Billy at Fort Campbell. I talked to him last week while I was out on Keystone. He's in the military, and some of the FLW guys, Jeff Sprague, was taking him fishing, so I had a chance to chat with him. He listens to the show and enjoys it. So
cool.
Big shout out to Billy, and thank you for your service.
All right, we have a great show today. Obviously, we are building up to the one-on-one live event that's going to take place tomorrow, 10 a.m. between Mike McClellan and Jeff Kriet. We're going to have both of them on today here in about 10, 15 minutes.
Tomorrow
Matthew?
being Wednesday,
Yes.
May 30th,
Correct.
10 a.m. Central Time
Correct.
on basso.com.
That is correct. And they will be fishing a private body of water. We're going to go ahead and announce it now. A private body of water in Oklahoma.
But it's big.
And hopefully the conditions are setting up. This lake has just about everything. Mm-hmm. It has grass. It has rock.
Docks,
it has docks. It has everything that you need to really hopefully perform at the highest level and put on a good show.
Now, I've been to this body of water several times, and I think here's what you're going to see. And we'll ask them when we get it on, but I think you're going to see top water, you're going to see flipping, you're going to see weightless plastics, you're going to see punching, and you're going to see dragging. 5 things.
Yeah.
You might see some twitching.
You're going to see a lot,
baits,
right? And hopefully you'll see a little trash talking too.
Right, but if you want to learn how to dissect heavy vegetation, and there's not a lot of it here in Oklahoma, but across the country, lots of prime. This is one you're not going to want to miss, because these guys you're going to see a lot of matte, sparse vegetation, cattails, hydrilla, coontail, all sorts of grass.
Good
There's
stuff.
like 3 or 4
Clear water,
yeah.
stained water, dirty water.
So we'll get them on, and they're both coming off of some really solid finishes. Jeff Kriet coming off of
his best finish.
Yeah, his best finish of the season. A top 20, finished 19th at Lake Travis, and then Mike McClellan, a top 30 with a 28th place finish at Travis, and then headed to the Sabine, where they both cast checks. Mike's obviously made probably the most famous long run in Elite Series history.
Not true. Not true.
What was longer? Was more
past
famous?
Venice, out of the Delta.
Well, that was in a classic.
It's still a bass event.
I said Elite Series history.
Oh, okay.
In the Elite Series, that is the most famous long run.
I would agree.
To Houston.
Yeah.
That's all we talk about.
Yeah, that event coming up next week is going to be very, very interesting. But the focus this week is on the matchup between Mike McClellan and Jeff Kriet, former roommates. They room together.
They still room together occasionally, don't they?
No.
Or Stacy's more on the road with Mike now.
He's got the trailer now. And they're camping.
Probably a much tidier roommate than Jeff is.
Yeah, probably so.
And there's been some suggestion that Mike has to clean out Jeff's truck if Jeff beats him. I know they put some beverages and I think Ben Franklin on it.
They put more than that on.
They put more than that on.
I don't know if they're going to talk about it, but yes, they did wager a little bit more green than what was initially brought up.
So we're going to have both of them on. But obviously, the other big news over the weekend that I noticed was that your BZ one-on-one live challenge website has been updated.
What do you mean?
Well, you've got challenges.
I have
and
challenges.
Booked challenges.
I do.
Multiple challenges. And Watson's $5,000 is still out there. Have you had any interest in that?
What's that?
The Table Rock Challenge.
Yes, we have.
Really? Is
Yes.
that still under the radar for now? Until
we're in the negotiation phase.
Okay, so but you're not going to announce.
I've had inquiries.
Okay, but booked. Was that a call out too?
That was a call out by Harmon Davis,
who's caught a few fish in his day.
And I don't know if you remember, if you were even involved when Harmon Davis, he finished second place in the FLW Cup, and he was what I would consider one of the top anglers here in Oklahoma locally for a long, long period of time, and then had some family issues and was dealing with a lot of things that was going on in his personal life. It just took a break.
Well, now he's back.
Now he wants to get back into it, and he's like, what a better way to make a name and a splash back than calling out somebody here in Oklahoma. So he
went after Eric Fawcett, who just won a BFL in Oklahoma, fishes the coast of stuff, and is very active on all social media platforms. I think he's got like 9 Facebook pages for his various endeavors. But
he was all about it too.
Yeah, he could catch him. That's awesome that the first call out. And boy, did not pick an easy venue. July on Eufaula.
Yeah, they're going to start at 9 o'clock though. They're going 2 hours.
Start 9 to 11.
9 to 11.
That'll be interesting. Yeah. I will be very interested in that. Obviously, I'll be in the boat as a cameraman for one of them.
Yeah.
But also Rodney Richards with $1,000 call out on Lake Murray.
Yeah.
And then Mike Zachary on Lake Kanawha for $500. I'd be interested to see who takes that on because he posts a lot of big bass from Lake Kanawha.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I spoke to Mike about that challenge, he said, look, he goes, they're going to be schooling. He said, it's going to be enormously entertaining. We're going to catch a ton of fish. So,
have you ever been out there in the summer when they're schooling?
Yeah.
Hundreds of them. And they never go down.
Yeah.
They stay up. I went out there with Fred Contowie one summer, and we caught like 150. Yeah. And every once in a while, you catch a 5-pounder in the mix. So.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool place to be in the summertime. Ski boats, not a lot of ski boats out there.
It'll be a good one. So if you want to check it out, it's BZ1, the number 1, on 1 live. .com, and you can just click on the challenge listing. Heck, you could throw a challenge out there. You haven't paid any money yet. You're just throwing a challenge out. I mean, if you think you're worthy of a lake in there.
That's it. And Matthew actually came up with a really good idea that once we get into the fall, we're actually going to add one additional element to the one-on-one challenges. And I really, really like the idea. I'm kind of fine-tuning it a little bit, but definitely a home run that Matt came up with. So we're going to phase that in once the fall starts rolling around and things kind of settle down a little bit. All right, one thing I want to mention real quick, and then we're going to take a break and come back with Mike. Did you see any of the footage of the floods that were taking place in Baltimore?
No.
Dude, you got to pull it up on
like
YouTube
the Baltimore Harbor and stuff?
Yeah, like towns just outside of Baltimore.
No.
It's incredible. It's some of the most incredible flooding footage I've ever seen.
Not good.
And my question is, I know it's a couple of months away, but will that have any effect on the event that we're going to have just outside of Baltimore?
So the Chesapeake is flooded right now.
Oh, it's got to be because of the tropical storm. Incredible video. I mean, cars just turning over, doing somersaults in the middle of downtown of these small towns. There were 2 people that actually died as a result of the flash flooding.
I need to check that out.
So check that out. I'm really curious, and I don't know if those tidal waters actually have an impact. Maybe we could get Pete on because Pete's real familiar with that body of water to see if that's even going to be a factor. But wow, thoughts are with all those people, and it's not the first time that this has happened in that community either. They've had multiple flash floodings and floods, but dude, I'm telling you, it was about like the volcano video over in Hawaii. That's been some incredible video too. But the flooding that took place in that area in Baltimore, unbelievable. I've seen flash floods, actually have been in a flash flood. Car floating toward the creek. when I first came back to Oklahoma back in 1987. Really? Was scared to death. I was in my aunt's car, flooded it, totaled it. It was sideways in the creek. I actually ended up, the car floated into the creek, dude. I freaked out.
Your car?
No, her car.
Her car. So you've had your truck and boat stolen.
Yeah.
Out of the parking lot while you were fishing at
UPS.
Work. You've had a boat come unhooked from the trailer and go running past you, haven't you?
Do what now?
On the highway, haven't you had a boat come off the trailer?
Yes.
The hitch broke and went flying past you.
I've gotten rear-ended.
You've been rear-ended and you've had a family member in a flash flood.
Yeah.
With the car.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And 2 tornadoes.
And 2 tornadoes. That's all
kinds of stuff going on, dude. I'm telling you, moved to Oklahoma. And none of this. The only thing happened to me when I was in California growing up was earthquakes. And that was a cool story. I remember the 7.3 back in 72. I was in my bed. We had hardwood floors. The bed had rollers on it. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, and the bed was rolling around on the floor. Jump up, look outside, look at the neighbor's pool, and there's like waves in the pool.
Earthquake.
Because of the earthquake.
And you've been through earthquakes here too. You've experienced a lot of natural disaster issues with.
I don't know why. All right, so we're gonna take a break and come back with Mike, talk a little one-on-one live. What's gonna go down tomorrow in Oklahoma between Mr. McClellan and Mr. Kriet? We're gonna have Mike on first, so everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We can put an absolute smackdown on the bass in a 3-hour period.
There is going to be pressure.
Playing by their rules.
I'm fishing against Mike McClellan, who has won way more than I have.
I'm absolutely going to smoke him.
This one-on-one live on May 30th at 10 o'clock in the morning, it will all be about execution.
Yeah, you want to beat your buddy.
I just want to catch that extra 5-pounder or 2 so I can say I'm the one-on-one champ on May 30th.
Kriet's got a lot of bad. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I mean, he's sloppy, his truck's a mess.
See, look, he's already got a call. This guy's so famous, that's somebody else calling him for an interview. Got it.
The most versatile fishing machine on Earth. Unparalleled resolution and clarity, with more agility, lightning speed, and brute strength. HDS Carbon takes rapid response performance and screen technology to an all-new level. Maximized power, maximized visibility. See Structure Scan 3D, new dual chirp sonar, new live network sonar, and more mapping options, all at the same time and faster than ever before. Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4 strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
My rods look different because they are different. Every rod is built by the pros and for the pros. When you pick up a white Duffet fishing rod, you're getting a cutting-edge rod, one that's truly pro-driven, with the actions you need for every bait category you fish. I put my name on it. It's my promise to build you a great rod you can count on.
Duffet Fishing, Micro Magic, Macro Magic, or White Ice.
Try them. They work.
When you are on the water, you need performance you can count on. Lowrance has been proving it for more than 60 years. Just ask our pros. HDS Carbon is the choice of champions. The clearest, most visible screens and killer new features like fish reveal and dynamic high visibility contrast ensure you catch more. Now is the ultimate time to get the best deal. Save up to $500 when you buy a qualifying HDS Carbon in the Ultimate Upgrade Sales event before May 31st.
Hey guys, Russ Lane, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Man, I am so excited to be joining the AFCO Pro staff. They got some really cool, innovative products to help you have a more enjoyable, comfortable day while you're out there on the water. Really stylish, great functional clothing. You're gonna love it. The thing I'm most excited about though is AFCO has pledged to donate 10% of their total profits back to supporting the conservation of our fisheries, and I am all about supporting a company that's about supporting conservation so that we can enjoy our bass fishing for a long time. Check us out, AFCO.
Jacob Wheeler and Tommy Biffle have a lot in common.
Flat bill.
The perfect shape.
You gotta love some light tackle.
I know I have a spinning rod.
I love my hammer crawl.
Biffle bug.
Rig.
On a hardhead.
Well, they could be twins. Bifflebug, hammer crawl, hardhead, from Gene LaRue.
Let me help you, man.
Let me help that hat.
Whoa, whoa.
There you go. I already look better.
When I talk about Sunline, I think of one word, confidence.
Sunline FX2 is what I use for all of my frogging and flipping.
SX1 braid, which braid plays a big part in fishing line.
Shooter, I'm going to use in those close quarter deals like flipping and pitching.
One of my favorite techniques in fishing the tournament trail is to fish offshore ledges.
We have taken the questions out of the equation.
Take my word for it. It works. It works, dude.
All right, we are back after a holiday weekend. Mark and Matt in studio getting ready for the big matchup tomorrow. One-on-one live. Kriet versus McClellan. Or is it McClellan versus Kriet? Who would be the home
Well,
team?
that's the thing. I've been putting out the promos for this, and I'll put one-on-one live Jeff Kriet versus Mike McClellan, and then in the subtitle I'll put Mike McClellan takes on Jeff Kriet in the next one-on-one live. I try to mix it up kind of 50-50 on that. I think Kriet has more experience on the body of water.
Yeah.
Mike has more W's on the resume.
Yeah.
They're both right about the same age. So I think you'd kind of flip a coin on whether you go Kriet McClellan or McClellan Kriet.
Yeah. All right, let's bring him in. Mikey, there, man?
Well, I figured it was just Kriet versus McClellan because we were in his home state. You know, that was the way I looked at it.
Okay, we can go with that as long as you're good with it. I didn't want you to say, well, why the hell am I putting out all these promos and Jeff is getting the first shot here?
I'm not worried about it. It's all going to go down on the water tomorrow anyway, so it really doesn't matter how y'all promo the deal. It's just about what we do on the water tomorrow, I think.
All right, Mike, you had a good week, decent week at Travis, coming off of a nice finish there going into this thing. What is your whole attitude and thought process about going up against Kriet one-on-one with everything on the line?
You know, the whole thing about it is we spent quite a bit of time over the years in the boat with one another, you know, just fishing, and it's always a competition. I mean, I don't care if you're just out, you know, fun fishing, trying to find fish, whatever it might have been, it always turns into a competition. No matter, you know, if you're not catching them, it turns into a competition of casting or flipping or pitching or something like that. So, you know, that's just in our nature. And, you know, Kriet and I are great friends, but, you know, when the whistle sounds in the morning and the game starts, I mean, we're going to be going at it. And I guarantee you nobody's going to let up from the time we start throwing or pitching or flipping or whatever we're going to be doing till the time we quit, because you don't want to get beat even by your best buddy. That's all there is to it.
All right, Mike, we're fishing on a private body of water, but you have been on this body of water. What's your history on it?
I'm pretty sure I've been on it one time if I've got the geographical area down right. Actually, probably, I don't remember when it was, 2006 or 7, when I was developing the Spromic stick. Kriet calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, dude, they're biting a stick bait at this lake that I live close to. Really good. If you want to try your bait out, you ought to come down." So, I jump in my truck and drive 4.5 hours down here just to throw a prototype McStick, and we absolutely crushed him that day. As bad as I hate to say it, and I don't remember exactly, but I think I finally got him by the end of the day weight-wise. He might out-caught me as far as numbers, but when it came right down to it, I caught a couple big ones on that bait, and really that was the determining factor to putting the Spromic stick into production. But, the thing about it, the lake offers so much based on what I've heard about it. It does have grass. It does have, shoreline vegetation as well as offshore vegetation, and it's got rock. It's got a lot of different things in it, so I think we're really going to be able to pull out all the punches tomorrow. I think the time of year that we're looking at, though, it's going to be a lot of plastics, topwaters and flip and pitch, and we might catch some fish on reaction baits if we get a little bit of wind or a little bit of cloud cover. I don't quite understand why y'all want to start at 10. We're going to miss the best of the early morning bite, but it is what it is. But I think it ought to be a good day, and I think we'll put a lot of big bite baits to use tomorrow. That's one thing that's pretty cool about Jeff and I have both had the opportunity to develop a number of different baits for big bite, and we'll probably see some of those baits get used heavily tomorrow.
The 10 it's a production thing, Mike. We got to get people to work so they can be productive for 2 hours before they're unproductive for 3 hours.
Oh, okay, I get it now. I get it.
You got to get people
understandable.
settled in, get their popcorn ready, get everything kind of done so they can settle in. You start it first thing in the morning. You got like a screaming 10-year-old who wants breakfast. The wife's trying to go to work, and they tune in and they miss your 3 biggest topwater bites of the morning already.
You're talking about all those stay-at-home dads, right?
Exactly. There you go. So the 3 hours.
I'm not making fun of them. Any of those guys that have figured out how to stay at home and do what they want to do while their wife's at work, more power to them. I'm not fussing about what they figured out. I actually lived where I lived there in Bella Vista. I had 2 or 3 guys that lived around me that they did exactly what they wanted to do. They hunted, they fished, they picked kids up and took them to school. But by golly, when they were off to school, they did whatever they wanted to do. So more power to them. If they want to watch Bass Zone live, bring it on.
Did you qualify as a stay-at-home dad, Mark?
No.
Yeah, because you worked at home. And
No,
and
dude,
AJ was still in high school.
No.
And Carolyn had the office job.
No, not at all, dude.
Were you home?
I was in the studio. I was in my office.
But you were home.
No, that's not even remotely
and you're,
close
you're
to
a
the same
dad.
category.
You're a dad, right?
Oh my gosh, man! Grow up, Matthew. All right, Mike.
We better get back. Get back to the fishing.
Jeez. All right, Mike.
I'm gonna have to reel y'all back in.
All right. Do you like? One of the things that's going to happen tomorrow, you're going to know what Jeff has. Do you like knowing what your opponent has when you're going up against him?
I really do. That's one thing fishing, bass versus Major League Fishing that I really like about Major League Fishing. I feel like for some reason, if I just got a grasp on what's going on in the competition, it makes me make better decisions at times. Now, Major League Fishing will get to you occasionally knowing that, but when they're biting. That's one thing that I've really started paying attention to is the fact that when we're at a Major League Fishing event, you can go through dead periods where no one catches one for 30 or 45 minutes, and all of a sudden the scoreboard lights up. It isn't one guy catching one, here and there. When they bite all over the body of water we're fishing, and it is cool to me to be able to know. There's so many things about knowing what the score is as you're competing fishing that really our sport has missed because of that not being out there. There's so many tournaments fishing the Elite Series, just like at Travis last week. The third day I make the cut. I'm the last one to slip in, so I've got everything to gain and really nothing to lose. I was 50th going into the final cut day. And, I catch a limit pretty early. I catch a fairly good-sized fish pretty early. But I didn't know where I really was in relationship to possibly making the top 12, And it would have changed the way I fished that last day had I known, what 12th place was. It really does. So I like the fact of knowing what the other guys got.
All right, 2 more questions, and then we're going to let you go. On the instant feedback, unrelated, Mark in Minnesota wants to know, are you going to make that long run again at the Sabine?
It's definitely something lingering in the back of my head. I mean, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to catch fish there, and that's definitely something I'm going to take a look at, and I'm not going to say I will or won't. It's not 100% right now I will. I think the fishery has changed tremendously since we were there the last time. I fished the Open there last summer, I guess, or, about this time of the year, and it's definitely a better fishery now than it was the last time we were there for the elites. There's a lot more bass. I think the flooding that's taken place in Texas has displaced a lot of fish out of marshes and ponds that, used to not, be accessible, or at least the fish have kind of gotten pushed out of those areas into the Sabine River. So it just seems like there's a lot more fish there for sure.
Jeffries and I were talking about before you came on, and I was saying that I think it's the most famous run in the history of the Elite Series. Now, not counting the Classic. Can you recall of any other anglers, who have had a run that was that long that has gotten talked about this much?
I really don't know that I can recall that, and it is something that comes up every time the Sabine River comes up. And, I heard you guys mention the Classic. I was one of those anglers that ran to Venice or past Venice in the Classic, and I honestly almost think the run at the Sabine might be a little longer. I've never, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that where I was fishing at the Sabine, it was because I had my trip meter on my Ranger on my Stratus at that time running, and it was 127 miles one way before I made my first cast. I'm not talking, I'm talking running. So it's a long run. The Classic run just didn't seem to me like it was that far, but maybe it's just been so long that I've forgotten that it was that far.
What do you do?
It's pretty far.
Do you do anything differently? I mean, do you flush the lower unit, carry an extra trolling motor? I mean, how do you prepare for that?
Most of our equipment is in such tuned shape these days. I mean, I didn't carry an extra trolling motor, had a lot of faith in the motor I was running. The outboard, you're running in and out of...
Should have stayed home. Oh, did it connect to his truck?
Yeah, he's on his Bluetooth now. You on Bluetooth, Mike?
No, he's just driving now. He's still talking, too. He's probably telling us the juice. Now I'm going to make a long run and not know what I need.
He got in his truck and went down there. All right.
We got the best out of him.
Yeah. Go back to manual.
It's all good.
He's trying. All right.
We were winding it down anyway, weren't we?
Yeah. I may call him. Here, let me do this. Hang on. Let's do this. We can't end on that. Shoot. I got one more question.
Okay. Because we do have Kriet coming up next. Do you think Kriet's going to show up with a clean truck just in case?
That would be kind of funny if that's the case.
Hello.
Oh.
All right, he's there. We got you back.
Sorry about that, guys. I started the truck and my phone switched to Bluetooth, and I was still in the RV. So I don't know what you called it.
Oh, he was in the RV.
Yeah, there you go. That's okay, man. We could barely hear you. And it was all muffled. Anyway, all right, man. Last question, and then we're gonna let you go. What do you have to do? What's the biggest key for you tomorrow to get the W?
I think the biggest key tomorrow is not getting behind. And one thing about it, like you said, I'm going to know what Jeff's doing. I said it the first time we talked about this event. If it takes me getting in his back pocket, since we're here on his home bodies of water, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit out there and try to make fish bite that aren't there. If he's catching them and I'm not, I'm going to wiggle in close and get around him. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've got to do to put pressure on him is to try to get in his head. If he gets out to a big lead, Jeff fishes as well as anybody out there. He is one of the most unbelievable anglers I've ever been in the boat with, and when he gets on a roll, he can make it happen in a hurry. So I can't get behind. I've let that happen in Major League Fishing. I know what that's like, and I've got to stay on top of it. And there is that opportunity to catch a big one and gain a lot of ground quick. but I'm not going to let him run off from me and not stay on top of it.
All right, man. Looking forward to it, Mike. We will see you in the morning, and good luck.
I got one more thing to say, though. Just one more quick thing. You know, I've heard about all these other challenges. I mean, Kriet and I, made a little small friendly wager, but I mean, I've heard these 500 or 500, 1,000, and Watson throws this $5,000 challenge out there. I mean, I just figure, we pay $5,000 to go fish an Elite Series event. We ought to make this a little bit more interesting. I mean, I'm definitely good to go 500 or 1,000 if Kriet's up to it. So when he gets on the show, just see if he's up to 500 or 1,000 for this little 2-period adventure tomorrow.
Wow. All right, we will do that.
That's
Throwing
just
it down live.
up to the stakes. If Kriet is smart, the first thing he'll do is when Mike's doing his pre-tournament, he'll go over and pour out his gallon of sweet tea. If he really wants to get in Mike's head, that would...
Don't mess with my tea.
Wow. All right, man. Looking forward to it, Mike. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you in the morning.
All right, see you. All right, there you have it. Mike McClellan. And, man, throwing down the call-out immediately.
Yeah, that's pretty serious. 500 or 1,000. We'll see how confident Kriet is.
All right, let me see if I can get Kriet on the line now.
All right. Now, Kriet's not out there practicing now, is he?
No, it's off limits.
Okay.
Can't get on there at all.
Okay.
He was out in the Gulf over the holiday.
That's a shocker. Does the ocean get crowded on the holiday weekend?
You can ask him that. I'm sure there's certain areas, yeah. Because there's ledges and...
I mean, yeah, do you pull up on your favorite sunken mountain out there and there's 90 guys trolling around
around the rigs, probably.
Yeah, I would imagine.
All right,
but, I mean, if you're putting in a boat of that size, I would imagine you know what you're doing. It's not like you're taking the ski boat out of the garage and learning how to back it in for the first time. I mean, you've got some serious money invested in that. You probably know how to man your vessel.
Oh, what just happened?
It just ended.
Is that the right number? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
You going to take a break?
No, because we already took one.
Yeah.
You just need to chatter it up about something.
Okay.
What else do you want to chatter it up about?
Well, I'm going to chatter it up and make sure I gave you the right number for Mr. Kriet.
Well, I have his number. I don't think that's the right number.
That's the one that I talked to him on.
Let's see here.
Don't say it out loud.
Dude, please.
That one right there.
That is the incorrect number.
He answers me on this one.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but that's not the right number.
He must not have given me his primary number. He gave me the second cell phone number.
Yeah, that's not the right number, dude.
Oh, okay.
You're not good at filling time, man.
Well, that changes things. There we go. That's probably the house number.
Hello?
Jeffrey, how are you, man? It's Mark and Matt.
What's up, buddy? How are y'all doing?
Doing good, man. You're live, and we just wrapped up an interview with your pal, Mr. Mike McClellan. And I'm just going to
be my pal today, but he isn't going to be my pal tomorrow.
He's really not going to be your pal after you hear what he just threw down in the last segment.
Yeah. All right. We're going to kick it. Yeah, we're going to kick it off with this, man. He threw down the gauntlet and said, Jeffries, you got this $5,000, $1,500 challenges, $500 challenges. He's throwing down a dollar amount to see if you're game, if you're up to the challenge between $500 and $1,000. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I definitely say I'm in for that. Hey, whatever he's big enough to put up, I'm big enough to match. I can promise you that.
Well, he was big enough to put up $1,000.
Yeah. That's just, for a player like me, I just pull that out of my piggy bank. I'm just lying about that. Truthfully, I'll have to go by the bank probably. Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
All right.
Heck yeah.
At least you don't have to go see your loan officer there,
Yeah,
Jeffrey.
well, I mean, maybe I might have to get a line of credit, or something.
Nothing wrong with
I'm
that.
down.
All right, let's talk about the body of water. We let everybody know today on the show it is a private body of water in Oklahoma. Obviously, the HFA, the home field advantage. You're very familiar with this body of water, and you haven't been on it for a while because there's been an off limits there. But what can you kind of give the viewers that are going to watch this thing tomorrow? Give us a little insight on what we can expect.
Well, I know the lake doesn't get fished a ton. It's got a lot of fish in it, a lot of quality fish in it. The unknown will be what the vegetation's doing. I mean, like I said, I haven't been out there in a long time. I mean, there could be some matted up grass. There may or may not be. I don't know, but it's there's going to be some sort of vegetation. The question is going to be figuring out how to catch them out of that vegetation in a short amount of time. But there's going to be some quality bites, and there should be plenty of action. The fish are good fish. I mean, there's not. There isn't going to be a lot of weighing in, 1-pounders. I mean, the average fish out there is probably closer to 3 pounds, and there's a lot of 5-pounders and some, and some big fish. But yeah, the big wild card is going to be what the vegetation looks like. I mean, it'll mat up. It'll get some cheese on it. There'll be sometimes you can do some punching out there. I really don't know, but I know this time of year it's gotten real hot. I would expect there to be some matted up stuff, and we start late, so I don't know that it may not be a topwater deal. It may be a punching deal or something like that.
So it's not going to be a spinning rod with the Kriet worm, is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not going to have one in the boat, but no, probably not. It's probably going to be. There's probably going to be a lot more 65-pound braid, and 20 or 25-pound fluorocarbon, and there's going to be some nice fish caught tomorrow.
Now, when we had Mike on, he made it clear. I believe his quote was, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but he said, "I am not going to be afraid to get in Kriet's back pocket if he starts catching them." Now, you have some experience at high levels of competition with hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line fishing in close quarters and have excelled. But, I mean, talk a little bit about the dynamic as far as, I mean, you guys, while you can get away from each other, you're probably going to be able to see each other some of the time, I would imagine.
A lot of the time, you bet. And hey, I'm going to tell you this much: I haven't been on that lake in a long time either. So don't think that if I go one direction and he goes one direction and he starts lighting it up, don't think I won't head that way either. I mean, that's the deal. The lake is pretty unique in the fact that one area can get real hot, and then the next time, you go out there, that area is not hot and it happens somewhere else. And the deal is, with this time of year, that grass is probably starting to grow, and, who knows where it can show up. I mean, just like on Lake Murray in Oklahoma, we'll get hydrilla at times, and it'll grow in one section of the lake and like crazy, and then the next time there's no grass there and it grows somewhere else. So yeah, I don't think that if he starts blowing them up, I'm not gonna head that way too. I mean, but it should be really good. It should be entertaining. I mean, with fish catches and good fish and things like that. It should be a full contact day too. Where it's it's not going to be finesse type stuff. It's going to be full contact. Put on your safety gear and get after it.
All right, I asked Mike this question, Jeff. Do you like knowing what your opponent has?
the only difference is like sometimes in a Bassmaster you're out there and you're sucking and you think, well, maybe it's just a tough day. And then you come in and everybody blasts them and you go, no, it wasn't a tough day. I just didn't catch them. Well, the difference here is you don't ever assume that it's a tough day because you can see what's going on. And, what I am learning through Major League Fishing and things like that is, when that window happens, when they bite lake wide. So if Mike starts putting them up on the board, boom, 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 and I'm not catching them, I know without a doubt I'm doing the wrong thing or I'm in the wrong area. That's the biggest thing. So, I tend to be a little high strung and get a little stressed and things like that, but I'm starting to deal with it better. I kind of like it now.
All right, you're coming off your best performance on the Elite Series this year. You kind of struggled a little bit there in the beginning. What happened? What happened at Travis? I know you have history on that lake, but are you going to be able to carry that momentum over? And what really changed at Travis for you, Jeff?
Man, I think for one, I went to a lake that I was really comfortable with. I mean, I've only been there one time, but that lake suited my style. I like deep, I like clear water, and but the main thing probably was a good attitude, honestly. I mean, I'm gonna be. I mean, there's no doubt, and all the critics out there would say, well, man, if I fish for a living, I would never have a bad attitude, But we fished a couple lakes that didn't suit my style. I mean, Kentucky Lake was Kentucky Lake's a good lake. It's going through a hard time, but I'm not very good at random. You know what I mean? The random's not my deal. I can't do random very well. And but the guys that are good at random are killing it this year. And when I say do random, that's not an insult. I mean, I'm just not a very good trash fisherman. Generally my good tournaments are, I caught them on this bait, those guys that have been good at picking up a buzz bait, picking up a flipping rod, picking up a frog here and there, and then running over here and cranking one up. Those are the guys that have excelled in these first tournaments, and that's just never. I'm not good at covering a lot of water. That's not my thing. If that makes sense.
It does.
Mm-hmm. One last question about tomorrow's venture, and then I got a question about holiday weekends on the ocean. Yeah. So what should viewers be looking for in the first half hour tomorrow to say, oh, Kriet's on fire or Kriet's in trouble?
Well, I'm going to tell you, a lot of it's going to be on the if Mike takes off and he just starts covering a bunch of water and starts catching them pretty good, that could be my downfall. The one deal is that we're on a good body of water. Don't get me wrong. I'm not afraid to take off and wind, but Mike likes to cover water. If it becomes more of a slow grinding deal, I can tell you right now, if it ends up being a grass flipping deal, I'm going to smoke him. If it's a deal where he can just go out there and wind a bunch of stuff, it'd make it a little tired. It'll be a little tougher on me. But yeah, if it's a moving fast kind of deal, that's where I'm going to have to adjust. I've been made fun of for years for how slow I fish, but Mike can fish pretty dang slow too. So. But yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, there'll be a guy could get out pretty quick if he figures it out fast. Generally, this is not taking Mike lightly, but generally I figure things out faster than Mike, but Mike is a very good closer. I've been known to start off fast out of the gates and peter out during the race.
All right, you had an ocean question,
yeah, let's move to the saltwater. We're talking about the holiday weekend, Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July.
Yeah.
Times you don't put the old bass boat on the pond.
Yeah.
Do you put the big boat in the ocean, and does the ocean get crowded on the holiday weekends?
Well, I actually I did. I just got back in. I went offshore. We spent 2 nights out there, about 200 miles offshore. So we fished for a half day, a night, all day the next day, a night, and then half day. And the ocean doesn't get crowded when you run 200 miles out.
I was just curious.
But I mean, now you may see one night we saw 3 or 4 boats out there. They were tuna fishing, but those people came from South Padre, a little longer than they can, but it got now. Miles of harbor, it got pretty crowded, man. There was jet ski. That's the big thing now. Those guys get those big jet skis and have rod holders on it. They'll run out there and fish the, rigs 8, 10, 12 miles out. And yeah, it was a zoo. It wasn't fun loading the big boat back up. Let's put it that way.
All right, man. Last question. What is it going to take for you to get the W tomorrow? What's the biggest factor?
Oh, I think for me, probably the biggest thing going to be for me is efficiency. I mean, I think both of us are going to have some opportunities at some, good fish. When I say good ones, I'm talking, 4.5 to 7 pound fish. And, you're going to have some opportunities at those, and those will be the game changers. The guy that, gets 4 of those bites and catches all 4, or 5 of those bites and catches them, or even if it's just one 5-pounder. I mean, you get that bite, you need to put him in the boat. And Mike is a very, very efficient fisherman. A lot of times I think I may be a little ADD, and I've been known to every now and then donk one of those off. And I think focusing and playing every bite like it is a 5-pounder, because it very well could be on this body of water.
All right, man. Looking forward to it. We will kick things off at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And, wow, should be very entertaining.
Yeah. Hey, just so you know, I'm fixing to walk right out to my shop and start putting on some braided line, boys.
All right, Jeff, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow, man.
All right, buddy.
All right, see you. All right, there you have it, Jeff Kriet.
I'm excited about this. This sounds like it could be
full contact.
Awesome.
I like that. He calls it full contact fishing. That's
it's no nets,
cool,
right?
No nets.
Maximum of 12 rods? Or did you not put a max
I didn't put
on
that
this?
in.
They'll be in their own tournament rigs.
Yeah.
10 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah.
And it's what, an hour and a half?
They get 90 minutes, then a 15 minute.
They don't have to come in or anything. They just sit there like we did Swindle
They can
Strader.
idle. They can do whatever.
Right. And then another hour and a half.
Yeah.
And if it's tied after its cumulative weight, we have the scales will hold up. We'll show the camera so you can see what it is. You'll keep a running tally. And
we'll have a scoreboard.
Right. And if it is tied at the end, because, I mean, these guys sound like it could be a slugfest.
Sudden death.
First keeper. What's it got to weigh a pound or
1
more
pound.
to count?
Yeah. There's no length limit, just a pound or more.
Okay. And there's $1,000 on it.
It looks that way.
Because Mike said 500 to 1,000, and Jeff said I'll match whatever his max is.
Looks that way.
So it's $1,000.
I tend to interpret it that way.
So tend to interpret that Jeff said he was going to go get $1,000 bank today and bring the cash to the match.
Hey, you said you will be in the boat. You're actually one of the camera guys and judges, if that's what you want to call it, officials, whatever you want to say. We will be in communication with Matt and the other camera person during the entire event. They will know how much time's left. They will know what weight each competitor has. They will be talking to them. They will be describing what's taking place. So if you haven't watched the Swindle versus Strader one, you can kind of get an idea on what's going to go down tomorrow.
Here's secretly what I hope as a non-biased cameraman who will have to witness this regardless of how it occurs.
Yeah.
I hope that they get there, there's a topwater bite on a buzz toad, something like that. They each catch a couple like that. Then I hope it gets a little bit tough for the second half.
A little bit of a grind.
Where one says, get out of here, you're here because I'm catching, the other 3 hours.
Yeah.
1 an hour.
1 an hour. Yeah. You taking the over or under on that one?
I think 3 is about fair.
Okay. All right.
I think they'll push the limits a little bit in this one.
All right. Very cool. All right, everybody. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Time, BassZone.com, one-on-one live with Jeff Kriet going up against Mike McClellan. Brought to you this time by TH Marine and Big Bite Baits. So I got some work to do this afternoon, dude.